Tish Tansil, and this is URBANesque Living. A good thing to have that little drip, but thank you. It's a future show. Join me again. Thank you for watching. This is Tish Tansil on URBANesque Living. What I've been doing since you've been gone. Peeler on it as well. Wet it a little bit to show you some secrets of a pastry chef. I work the cookies. Sometimes they do crumble. And you can stick a fork in it, literally. Something that people think is a very hard. You'll find out when we come back. This is URBANesque Living, and I'm your host, Chef Tish Tansil. And today we're going to make use of some bananas. Maybe yours have been laying around, maybe they've gotten all speckled and you wonder what to do with them besides making some smoothies. Well, today we're going to make some homemade delicious banana bread with fresh bananas. And these are some raisins that we have soaking in some rum. So this is for the grown-ups. Stay tuned.
Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Hi, I'm Chef Tish Tansil, and welcome to another URBANesque Living. Today we're going to be baking in the kitchen, and we are going to be putting to use some of these bananas. They're kind of ripe. You can use them for smoothies, but they're great for baking, because you really don't see the banana and you don't care if they have bruises or if they're a little bit mushy. It makes it actually perfect for banana bread. So we're going to be doing some mini banana breads because we are taking these to an event, and so we don't want to really worry about trying to cut servings. We're just going to give everyone their own little miniature banana bread loaf. And so we are going to be actually adding some of the raisins and cranberries that we were soaking from the other day. And this is basically just raisins and cranberries dried with some clear white rum. Now you can use spiced rum if you like, adds a little extra flavor, but we made our own special blend of spices just for this occasion. So join us and we will get cooking in a moment. Thank you.
Healthful eating doesn't mean you have to abandon your culture and your love for flavor. Learn new ways to prepare savory meals to keep your family healthy. If you or someone in your family has diabetes, or if you fear they might be at risk for developing diabetes, talk to your healthcare professional today. To request your free copy of the American Diabetes Association's Latin Flavor in the Kitchen Recipe Sampler and to receive a free guide on type 2 diabetes, call 1-800-DIABETES. Again, 1-800-DIABETES.
Hi, welcome back to URBANesque Living, and I'm your host Tish Tansil, and today we're making banana bread. And one of the first things you need to do when you make banana bread is to choose some bananas that are a good mushy banana. You really don't want a banana that's still green because it makes it a little bit harder to mush. This banana, people probably won't eat it aesthetically because it's a little bit bruised and a little bit banged up looking, as opposed to this banana that's still a bit on the green side. When a banana is still this green, it has a lot of starches in it, and you really want a banana that's sweeter. And so when your banana starts to turn this color, it's going to be a really good banana to use in your bread. And so we're just going to peel the banana, and then we're going to mush it up. And for our recipe, which I'm going to post, you're going to need about a cup and a half of banana. And so you can mush your banana any way you want. We're going to mush our banana with a spoon. If you have a potato masher, that's actually optimal. You can put it in a blender. You can actually use your hands. You know, if you don't mind getting everything all mushed up, your hands are perfect to use to squish up a banana because you need it kind of on almost the puree form. And puree means that you take some fruit and you basically blend it up. Think smoothie. When you blend up a banana to make a smoothie and it goes very smooth, that's how you want the consistency for your banana bread, unless you like big lumps of banana in it, and then you can just leave it lumpy. Okay, so now our bananas are just where we want them to be. See, they're pretty much mushed up. You still have some lumps, so that when you have your banana bread, you get these really great bursts of banana flavor, which if you are a banana fan, is really wonderful. And that's what makes this banana bread so special, because you do use a lot of banana in it. Okay, great. So your banana should have this type of a consistency, which is still pretty, you know, pretty good, but it's more liquidy. And so this is the base of our banana bread. Now, quite honestly, if you like, you can add the seasonings right to it. And I tend to like to do that because I like the flavor to be on every bit of banana. And so it's going to get into our bread anyway, but there's nothing wrong with adding that flavor to the banana. Almost when you're sauteing food and you season the water to make sure that all of whatever it is you're cooking gets flavored. And so in here I have actually a little almond flavor, and I have some vanilla flavor. So the same way I let the raisins kind of marinate and get that great rum flavor, I'm going to let these bananas sit a little bit and absorb some flavor from the spices and from the vanilla and the almond extract. And I use pure extract. I don't really like to use the extract with the alcohol in it because the flavor is a little bit not as strong. So one thing that I do want to tell you about, one of my little secrets to baking really great tasting foods, is this. This is a ginger root, and ginger is from the Orient, and people use it all over the world. Of course, you've had ginger snaps, you've had ginger bread, you've had all kinds of things with ginger. So don't be afraid to add it to anything to make it your own and your special flavor. And one of the things that you can do to use ginger, if you're not used to using it, you can peel it a number of different ways. I like to use just a standard potato peeler, and that just peels it off very nicely, very cleanly, and at that point you're ready to go. And you don't have a lot of waste. It takes the skin right off. This is fresh ginger root that you can get at your neighborhood store or at your county market, and you can get it in bulk. And I like the flavor of it better than the flavor of the ginger that's in the container, because this is fresh and it has a little bit more of a punch to it. And I love the fresh taste of ginger. It is wonderful for your digestion, and it's wonderful for your breath, and it makes your house smell really great. Okay, so now we've got our ginger all nice and peeled. It's all clean. You don't have to get it perfect. Some people actually eat the ginger with the skin still on. I personally don't do it that way. You can make it your own. If you like to keep the skin on, just make sure you wash it first. Because sometimes the stores or the producers add a growth retardant to it, and that is in the skin. And you really don't want to eat that. So play it safe unless you know your ginger is organic and that you don't have any of those chemicals on it. This is organic ginger, but I still peeled it. And so one of the ways that we're going to initially chop this by hand is with a knife. I want it minced, so I'm just going to slice it thinly. And if you have a food processor, you can actually throw it in your food processor as well. and that's a quick way to do it. Today I'm just showing you how to do it in case you don't. In case you're out and about in nature or out on a picnic and you want some minced ginger. Sometimes we're not always around our technology, and so basically you're just going to cut it thinly. Keep your fingers out of the way, and you're just going to go back and forth, and you're going to cut that ginger until you get it into small pieces. Now the thing with ginger is that it's kind of strong, so you really don't want to leave huge chunks, because when you put it in your bread and someone bites into it, unless they're a ginger fan, it's probably not going to be a great experience for anyone eating your cake. So just make sure that the pieces are very small, because at that point you get a little bit of a ginger flavor in each bite, which makes your cake very, very good. So you just kind of scrape that. This is our cutting board too, and everyone should have a cutting board. Technically, you have different colors for your different food projects. You have your red cutting boards, your green cutting boards, you have your white cutting boards, and they all have a different purpose. You have a cutting board for meat, for fruits and vegetables, for fish, for dairy, and typically this white board is an all-purpose board. And one of the reasons is you want to avoid cross-contamination, and when you see those colors that are coded, you know that you should only use that with certain types of food. And you have to practice food safety, not just professionally, but in your home as well, because each year many people contract foodborne illnesses, and you can avoid that by just being safe in your own home kitchen. Proper good cleanliness, proper practice cleanliness, practice safety, and you can go further than this if you like, but like I said, you don't want big chunks of ginger in your banana bread. You also do want to have some so that you can, taste it. It's a wonderful flavor experience. So that's your ginger. Okay, so we're done with the ginger, so we're going to move on to adding the rest of our ingredients. Okay, now we've got all of our ingredients in place, which is actually called mise en place, which means to have your ingredients in place. And so you want to have everything ready to go so that as you mix, you don't have to scramble. And another reason why you want to make sure everything is already in place, in case you don't have something and you have to run to the store and get it. This way you know what you have and what you don't have before you turn this mixer on, because you want to make sure that everything gets mixed according to the correct order so that you have a great product when you're done. So the first thing that this recipe calls for us to do is to whip our sugar and our butter. Now, because we are watching our calories and watching our intake of what we eat, we're not going to be using butter in this recipe. I am going to substitute coconut oil. And coconut oil is fantastic for baking because it gives such a rich flavor. Butter gives a great flavor too, but this is a product that is vegan, and it's also a product that does not increase your cholesterol level. If it tastes wonderful. So just on the taste level alone, coconut oil is a great alternative to butter. And you can just use it the same. I actually melted some solid coconut oil and melted it down. Our recipe calls for a half a cup, so I melted enough down for a half a cup. So I'm going to add this into our bowl. And coconut does solidify at room temperature. So that's, you can get liquid coconut oil, which does not solidify, but the pure coconut oil that comes from a coconut is going to go back to a solid form as soon as it cools down. Now, this recipe called for brown sugar. I am actually going to substitute something that I actually think is a wonderful product, which is coconut sugar. It has a really wonderful caramely taste to it, and it cooks up the same way as sugar, brown sugar. And brown sugar is basically white sugar with molasses in it. So there's really not a difference. The coconut sugar I found does not spike your blood level. It has a wonderful flavor, and people really enjoy it. It gives you a very fulfilling taste sensation when you eat it. So we're going to put this in our mixer. We're going to turn this on, and we're going to let that mix until it's creamy and smooth. Okay, so now we've got our coconut oil and our coconut sugar mixed together. The next thing we're going to do is add our eggs. Now we have 2 eggs, and you can use the brown eggs, you can use the white eggs, you can use organic eggs. Whatever your choice is, it's fine. And we're going to let this mix until it's nice and smooth and creamy. Now, while you're baking your bread and you're mixing it, one thing you do have to remember to get a consistent product, you have to remember to scrape your bowl. And that's one of those culinary things that you do. And sometimes when you're mixing, things get stuck to the side of the bowl, and you just want to make sure that everything is mixed correctly, because if it's not, your cake is not going to produce a beautiful product, and it's going to have lumps, and it's going to be a little bit less than what you want it to be. Okay, so now we have our sugar, our egg, and our coconut oil creamed, and so we're going to add our banana mixture in, and we're just going to mix this enough so that everything is incorporated. And basically what that means is that everything is mixed together. So at first it didn't look like there was enough liquid because we have 2 cups of flour, and you can use white flour, but this is a healthy recipe, so we're using whole wheat flour, and it works out just fine without adding anything else as far as fillers to it. Sometimes people think it's difficult to cook with whole wheat flour, but it's really not. Once you get used to it and you like the flavor, it's all good. Okay, so now we're going to start mixing again. Fortunately, we have a tempered bowl. Okay, so our bananas are all mixed in, and what we're going to do is scrape the sides of the bowl, and that's just to make sure that everything is incorporated. We don't have anything that's stuck to the bottom, because once you start filling up your cooking pans, you want to make sure that every flavor is the same. And so right now what I'm going to do actually is put in this ginger. And yes, this looks like a lot of ginger, but some people like a lot of ginger, and so we're going to make this really zesty. And it's kind of like a tropical themed banana bread. This is a banana bread that's going to be given to a gentleman from the islands, and he likes a lot of ginger, and he likes his rum, and he likes his raisins. So this is kind of like a rum raisin gingerbread. It's going to be great. Okay, let's just lightly mix that ginger in. ginger is in, and right now what we're going to do is we're going to add in our flour. Now you really don't need to mix in the flour to beat it to death. Basically what you want to do is just incorporate the flour into the liquid mixture, and you're going to get much better results with that. Don't just turn the mixer on and walk away and leave it for 5-10 minutes. It does not require that much mixing. One thing you definitely want to be sure about is when you turn on this mixer, the mixer, don't turn it on a very high speed or else you're going to get flour all over your kitchen. So we're going to just turn that on to speed number 1. And as you can see, it's just mixing in the wheat flour with the banana mixture. And it's just going to cream it out. And once you see that the flour is incorporated, you can basically turn it off. Now I have some nuts that I want to add to this, and I also have some raisins, and I'm just going to fold that in by hand. And don't be concerned that there is some flour that's still on the wire whisk, because we're just going to fold that in. And basically, we don't want to handle this dough an awful lot. See, right now, everything is nice and moist.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one...
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Okay, so that's a good looking bread. Everything is already incorporated. Looks great, smells great. I'm going to add in my nuts and raisins. And the reason I didn't add these nuts and raisins in is because I wanted to make sure that the flour was totally incorporated. This smells wonderful. We marinated our raisins and our cranberries in a Jamaican rum. So they've been sitting in our refrigerator for the last few days. And this bread is going to be wonderful because once it starts to cook, that delicious rum flavor is going to come out. We have our spices, we have our ginger, and we have our pecans and our walnuts. Okay, so now everything is incorporated and it's time to cook. What we're going to do is put everything in individual serving size molds. And this is wonderful if you're going to give gifts. It's wonderful if you want to hand them out to people. It's wonderful if you want to store them in the refrigerator because you're not taking out the entire cake. You can freeze it. Freeze is great. Take it out when you want. It's perfect. So this is a mold that I have and I've already sprayed it. And this is just a basic non-stick spray. Make sure you spray it well. This mold actually has a little design on it, so it's going to be a little bit fancy. If you don't want to use a mold, you can actually use these little loaf pans. This recipe is great for larger loaf pans. You just have to consider the time factor. If you were to use a full-size loaf pan, this recipe would take almost an hour to bake. But in this size, it's only about a half an hour. So we're going to scoop out our mixture into each one of these. And using these ice cream scoopers is actually a great idea. It's a lot neater. All of your cakes will come out exactly the same because you don't have some that have a little bit more mixture, some that has a little bit less mixture. When you cook them, they will all be cooked exactly the same. So now we're going to start filling each mold. Okay, Okay, so now we've got our pans filled and it's time to bake our Caribbean-inspired gingerbread banana bread. And so we preheated our oven to 350 degrees. Now we're going to set the timer for approximately 25 minutes and we're going to test it at 25 to make sure that everything is done and that the cakes are properly cooked. So let's pop these into the oven. Okay, now we'll get this kitchen cleaned up while our cakes bake off. Join us in a few minutes and we'll see how our banana bread turned out.
Gaining weight was easy. All I had to do was sit down and eat. Losing weight's a lot harder. I have to work at it every day. But with every step, I lower my risk for type 2 diabetes and heart disease. And that makes every step, every choice, every day very much worth the effort.
Learn how you can help stop diabetes by losing weight, eating healthy, and staying active. Visit checkupamerica.org or call 1-800-DIABETES.
Hi. Now, our banana bread has been baking a little over a half an hour. I tested it with a toothpick, inserted it in the center to make sure everything was dry, and now our cakes are ready to come out of the oven and cool. Okay, so now it's time to take the banana bread out of the molds. Now these two are already unmolded, and as you can see all of the delicious raisins, cranberries, and our chopped nuts. What you can't see is the ginger, but I just tasted some. Wonderful ginger flavor, not too much, but enough to let you know that this is a warm, tropical feel to this banana bread that is going to warm up a cold day here in Michigan. So, join us again on URBANesque Living. I'm your host, Tish Tansil.